Welcome to the What's Your Ethos podcast. Hi, I'm Peter Colis, the CEO of Ethos. Today I talk with Shawn, the CEO and founder of Family First Life. FFL is one of the industry's most successful and fastest growing insurance marketing organizations. On track to write $1 billion of annualized premiums this year, just 10 years after founding. We discussed FFL's rocket ship growth, Shawn's competitive drive and his leadership secrets, how he created an agent-first, customer-first company, and the integrity integration. Let's listen in. Hi, I'm Peter Colis, the CEO of Ethos, and today we have with us Shawn, the CEO and founder of Family First Life. Founded in 2013, FFL makes the families it protects and the families of their agents their number one priority. Providing multiple types of life insurance and retirement planning and protection, FFL has scaled significantly and its growth trajectory continues to soar. Shawn is revered in the industry as an exceptional leader. I've gotten to know Shawn through FFL's partnerships with Ethos, and it's a privilege to sit down and talk with him today. Shawn, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
So you have an amazing background, Shawn. Before you entered insurance, you started life as a social worker, helping children in difficult situations. Mm-hmm. Can you take us back to that time, and how did what you were doing there eventually translate into a career in life insurance?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not unlike a lot of other people that were led to that industry. We used to joke around in my office that we were a bunch of broken people trying to fix other people. It's what led us to being a social worker or child protective services worker or whatever it was. You know, and it was an amazing 14-year run. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, Peter. And the reality is I probably would still be a social worker today or continue to get promoted and be at the state had they not made some changes to what they were doing. It wasn't the money. Like, I wanted more money to take care of my family, but I was already selling real estate on the side while I was a social worker. But I got in the business to make sure the kids were safe. That was it. My deal was I don't answer to you. I had maybe a few bosses, but I didn't answer to them. I was the one that was in the field seeing the kids, seeing the parents. And if I told you that they were safe, they were safe. If I told you they were unsafe, they were unsafe. And they forced me to move a kid out of a home that was safe. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't. It's a safe environment. I understand their history. It's 25 years old. They're not perfect, but kid's safe, kid's happy. All his needs are met. And I also knew he couldn't handle himself if he got placed into the system. I just knew he was a very well cared for young man, which was good. He wasn't jaded. He wasn't angry. And they forced me to move him, and it did not benefit his life. Let's just put it that way. So I was it. At that moment, I'm like, I'm going to quit. It doesn't matter when. And I was selling real estate, looking at a multifamily home in Connecticut. I owned tons of them. And this guy named Jim asked me if I'd like to make some extra money outside of what I was currently doing. And I said, sure. I'm always open. What is it? And he said, selling life insurance. I said, no, I'm not interested. I assumed that was like a very arduous task to get licensed. I assumed that it was, I grew up in an apartment, like, subsidized apartment. Nobody came knocking on our door to sell us life insurance. Like, our family members died with no life insurance. Like, my uncles died, my grandparents died. Nobody was like, man, thank God they had a life insurance policy. So I had a misconception. He said, just go online and get the license. Like, I said, how much is it? So he told me it's a couple $100. So I did that. And, to your question, I was blown away because I was so used to going to people's houses that didn't want me there. Like, there was a domestic dispute, somebody got stabbed, and then here I come, 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, hey, man, this happened here. Nobody wanted me there. I wasn't invited. And then I had these leads where they invited me. So I actually thought it was the easiest thing I'd ever done in my life. My first couple of days, I went out and sold. I think I sold like 17 applications in like 2.5 days. And when I brought him back, Jim's like, what did you do? I was like, I just called the people up that you gave me. And he's like, how'd you get this much insurance? I'm like, how do you not get this much insurance? Like, this is easy, So I fell in love with it. And I did it part-time for about a year. And then I quit my state job, which I knew I was going to quit anyway, quit real estate and went all in life insurance in 2000. I got my license June 2008. I was all in 2009. And then we launched Family First Life in 2013.
It's remarkable to think about that social work could actually help you become a master in understanding human nature. What an experience.
I think a lot of people getting life insurance don't take the things they've done that make them masters in human experience as well, right? Like if you're a parent and you've not learned this yet, you will. as you get to go through that amazing child rearing ages of 3, 5, 7, 10, teenage years. There's a lot we've learned. And it's like, we're all good at something. Like, I was a good social worker. I did my job. I found out what I needed to find out. People in the community knew who I was. They knew I was going to be straight up and be honest with them. But they also knew if I rolled in and they had 2 active gang members there or something else, like, they didn't want me there. Like, I would do anything to protect those kids. And I had zero fear. Like, that's the other thing. I've been very blessed where I have a really healthy fear of the Lord. And I know I'm messed up. It doesn't make me, I know where I am. And I think that a lot of us don't give ourselves credit. Everybody that gets an insurance license is great at something. Everybody. It could be being a great son. It could be being a great mentor to one person in your community. It could be great at your job at Target. Like, you have a skill set that made you great. And I think my job is to pull that out in people when they start so they can take that greatness and apply it to our industry.
So you start selling life insurance, and originally you're at a different firm.
Correct.
You haven't yet started FFL.
Yep.
And that they are getting you going, they're training, they're helping you become successful, but they are compensating in a way that really rewards the owners disproportionately over the agents who are creating a lot of the value. How did this experience inform how you set up FFL when you have your own shop that you're responsible for?
First of all, I should have had you explain that to the court when I got sued early on. You'd been a lot better job than me. Like, what'd you do? I was like, I didn't feel like I was getting that good opportunity. Peter, I worked really, really hard at the firm I started out, and I'm very thankful for that firm, or I wouldn't have been in the business. I've always been thankful. But after a few years, I looked around and I realized that, I was getting all these awards, and I was like, I'm really not netting the amount of money I need to net for my family. The awards are fine, and most people are driven purely by recognition, which is weird. And it's a good percentage, I'm not. Awards don't matter to me at all. They never have, they never will. I mean, I had to win awards when I was 12, and I was an angry kid, and I would just throw the MVP award in trash. And that was it. My buddies would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't want it. Like, I don't care. Who cares? Like, so what? I was MVP. Who cares? And I just was this anti-recognition deal, probably because of how I felt about myself as a kid. But, Peter, about the 4th year in, late 3rd, early 4th, I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And, I went to the people I worked with, and I was very upfront. The guy that hired me, Jim, had quit. He quit like 3 months, and that was a good idea. He should have stayed around for a while. When I launched Family First Life, he called me up. He's like, congratulations, man. I should get back in the business. I was like, you should have stayed when I was your downline. What you should have done. I just knew there was probably a better way to do it. And we started looking around, and a few guys I talked to. And when I started talking to people, what I realized, Peter, is they were thinking the same thing. And I'm like, dude, like, are you making any money? Like, that was always my thing. I was always very upfront about that. And anytime they started to kind of encourage me not to do that, made me nervous. Like, if you're in the business, I wanted to go, hey, Peter, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. Okay, great. You got an award. How much are you making? How much are you keeping? How much are you paying taxes on, Peter? Like, what are you making for your family? And that's all I started doing, was trying to seek the real information. And I made a decision probably mid 2013 that I was going to go in my own direction. And then December 12th of 2013, we launched Family First Life. Small group of us got to become a big group real fast, and even a bigger group. And I think the principles we've stuck by have allowed us to grow. I mean, it's putting the client first, putting the agent first, not being perfect, trying to get better every day. I think that's the other thing. I surround myself with really good people. When I met you, I didn't need to know where you went to school. I was like, he's really smart, and I really like him, and I try to be around people and be vulnerable enough and open enough to build good relationships, whether I'm being mentored one day and I'm the mentee the next day. So yeah, we launched FFL 12/12/13. It was a grind. I mean, it's you guys are now in this space, and it's really getting a lot bigger now, which is great. I love that. There's more people in it. There's tons of leads, tons of clients, but it was a pretty small business for a lot of years. So everybody knew everybody, so it's kind of like you had to work for one of these 4 people or you couldn't work there. And I was like, that doesn't seem right, and I think I'll never forget my mom said to me, I said, I hate school. Like, I just hate it. I love baseball. I love football. I do not like school. School wasn't hard for me. It was really easy, but I didn't like it. And I'll never forget, she said to me, she said, you're going to say a lot of these courses are not important to you. Math, I write really well. I always wrote well. But she said, I need you to pay attention in history. And no matter what else you remember from me. And I said, why, Ma? She said, because history will repeat itself. And I always remember reading about cultures and societies and dictatorships and how you make enough people angry, it doesn't matter how small you think they are. They can overthrow the castle. And, I just learned a lot about, I was very interested in leaders and what they did and why they were successful and why they weren't and why they failed. I also vowed that no matter how good we got, we would never become egotistical, because ego, you can't have a big business and a big ego at the same time. So, we met. You spent very little time talking about you and a lot of time asking about us. And I liked it. It made me more interested in working with you.
You're a fascinating person to learn about. I'll tell you, playing sports as a kid, I once received the Most Improved Award, which I didn't realize until I was an adult was a real insult. So, Shawn, FFL is today probably one of the largest agent organizations that exists. Can you give us a sense of an overview of FFL? What main product lines you focus on? What's kind of the scale of the business today?
And I think, and I'm just saying this, I think we're by far the biggest agent organization that exists. I don't think it's even close. And I say that because of the amazing people we have. We have organizations within our organization that are bigger than all the organizations. If you were to take the insurance carriers and rank them, and that's why I think it's important to level set that, purely because, when we first started, Peter, it was purely mortgage protection, which is term insurance, return of premium, and final expense, whole life, simplified issue products. We were, we kind of roll where the leads were. Back then, mortgage protection leads were much more plentiful. I think we all knew with the way mortgages are and direct mail and everything was going to be over the internet. We knew that would kind of even out, but we went about 80-20 mortgage protection early on. And now we're about 55% final expense, probably 30% traditional return to premium mortgage protection. Another 15% would be index universal life. And that kind of gives you our mix. Very much middle American focused, our leads. Doesn't mean we don't have segments of our agent force that is doing leads, are focused on high net worth people. We do. And I think we've evolved a lot. I think early on we were just, we were two lines, and now we're into, if it's insurance in our space and life and health, we have ancillary health products. We have straight health, MedSup, Med Advantage. We've kind of really gotten into everything. And I think that was one of the visions. I didn't know how to pull it off, but one of our visions was, why can't we be all things to all people? It was like, you can't, in the life insurance, health insurance business, why can't we offer every product? And even if it's not me and my group, why can't I get Tom to come help these people with their retirement and write them a fixed index annuity? So this year, our goal, Peter, in our 10th year was to issue $1 billion. We are in our 10th year. I still say we got a shot. If we miss, we'll be $800 million plus in paid premium for the year, which is bigger than almost anybody out there, including insurance carriers. So, and why that's important to me, Peter, is how many people we got that wouldn't have gotten access to life insurance. I think that the great thing about the internet and lead sources and social media is people are talking about it. And, I remember when I saw these GoFundMes, I was like, dude, you'll watch those come down on the death, because more people are going to realize what it is and get life insurance. We were joking one day. We're letting people know that, they have the ability to get it. And I think we've been able to dispel a lot of myths. Why don't most people have life insurance? They think they can't afford it, or that they can't get access to it. And neither one of those is true. You get access to something, even if it's a graded or guaranteed product. And certainly, you have a cell phone, you got a place to live, and you can afford life insurance. Those are our product lines, and that's where we're at. Those are our goals. We have probably on a monthly basis about 8,500 to 9,000 agents that are getting paid. I also feel real good about that. We don't have a sales force of hundreds of thousands where people, I think a good percentage of our agents are actually out there monthly getting paid. A lot of them weekly, a lot of them daily. And I never wanted to run a company where people were broke. That was the hard part of other companies I've been at, both in the real estate business and in insurance, was, seeing people go on an award trip, yet they can't afford to eat anything while they're there, or they're checking out. And I went on an award trip with an insurance carrier early on, and I remember they said, you have to leave I had never been out of the country, Peter. So they said, you have to leave your passport with the hotel. And I was like, but I'd never been out of the country. So I'm like, sure, that's obviously what you do. So we check out, I pay my bill, give me my passport back. So I said to the guy at the bellman, I was like, hey man, I mean, I've never been out of the country. Like, it's the first time I've ever been out of the country. Is that how it always works? Like, what if they lose your passport? He's like, that's not how it works. It's like the company you're at wanted us to hold your passports in case you didn't pay your bill. And I was like, oh my God, like for real? It's like, yeah, that doesn't like ever happen. So it was very odd to us. So I'm thinking, who invites their top 70 people and perseverates about whether they can pay their bill? And that started just making me really start thinking about the business. So I think even what we're doing with you guys, I mean, being open to so many different things that we weren't, you know, we don't do a good enough job getting back in front of our clients and get in front of the ones that don't reach out to, you know, don't respond to us. We can't get a hold of them. And I think Ethos has been an amazing fit. But I buy into people, you know, and you know me relatively well, Peter. And if anybody watching this knows me at all, they know I'm not BSing. I bought into you and the people I met. Had I not, I would have passed. Like there's somebody else, you know what I mean? There's other options out there. And but that's what our line looks like. And that's what our sales looks like. We're in about every state, a couple of states that from a product standpoint, we're just not strong in the product, but you know, we're in 48 of them, 49. So we got a pretty good distribution. You asked me to come off a week and a half of sales conferences, got thousands of people into 16 different cities. It's amazing. I feel like we're just getting started.
And man, tracking towards $1 billion of premiums, the largest agent organization in the U.S. What is the scale of your ambition? What does the future look like?
You know, when we started, I used to say to people, you know, you need to want to be as big as the company. So some of the agents we got to run agencies is like, why can't you? We were doing 11 million a year in the first year. Why can't y'all do 11? And Peter, yeah, I want to do billions a year, but the thing that makes me, I think, hard to compete with, and a lot of people I work with is money don't move me. Money does not move me. I am not broke, but money doesn't move me. The things people have don't move me. You know, we spent time together. I was 100% sure you weren't broke, but that didn't move me. It was talking to you. So for me, there's so many more people to help. You know, the way I grew up is a blessing. It's been like literally a blessing eternal. Like it doesn't stop blessing me because I never forget. And I think that a lot of people forget it, whether they're serving at a restaurant, which is nothing wrong with that, and they're making $6,000 to $8,000 a year, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they get a life insurance business because they have ambitions to do better for their family, make $250,000. They forgot what they were doing. It's like you were working harder when you were serving, making $68,000 a year than you're working now when you sell life insurance. So for me, I'm not going to slow down because of goals, numbers, money. And dude, I like shorts and t-shirts, man. I have got some nice suits I'm supposed to. I'm not that deep. You know what I mean? I can vacation hanging out at my house. So I don't really have a number on it. You know, we want to be the biggest by far, but I do wake up, Peter, every day with this real healthy paranoia of somebody's trying to do better than us. I'm rabidly competitive. So like, you know, somebody asked me today, you play pickleball, Peter?
No.
Okay. And I have not, I had never played. I played a lot of racquetball. And the guy that asked me is really good. Like, I know he's really good. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start playing because when I play him, if he whacks me, like I'm going to be a rabid animal about it. Like, it's not that I can't lose. I'm totally fine going in and losing if he's that, because he's allegedly that good. But I got to give it everything I got. Like, I don't like to lose. No, it's not true. I hate to lose. And also when I'm competing, and maybe this is wrong, but it's the way I do it. When people go like, I love my competition, I don't. If you compete with me, you're not my friend. Sorry. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, I've never picked another guy off the court down a different jersey. I've never in the football field reached down and grabbed a jersey. It's not the same color as mine. Never. I've never in baseball asked a dude that got hit, are you okay? Never once. That's not my business. He's not on my team. Game's over. I'm good. I'm cool. I ain't trying to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything dirty to hurt you, but I want to compete. And this is my way to compete. And I love competing fairly, between the lines. And like even our trainings, we'll do all our trainings online. And somebody said to me the other day, why do you keep doing them online? Like everybody can watch. I go, yeah, but they'll do more life insurance. which means more clients will get more life insurance. More people are covered. They'll do well. They'll do better. And that will push us to do even better. It's a win, 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 win. Like, I'm not going on my way to hurt you, but I'm pulling for our team. If one of my guys gets knocked down, I'll walk by 4 guys that are knocked down and grab my guy. Like, he's on my team. I'm not mad at all y'all, but I got to get my guy over here. He's on my team, So I have fun. I love what we do. I love the people I'm in business with. I love the BS. That's the sign of, do you like the business you're in? Because all businesses come with garbage you don't want to deal with. And I love that. And most of it's directed at me. And I thrive on it. I enjoy it, So I don't know. And that's probably more an Eastern Connecticut State University answer than a Stanford answer, but it's but nonetheless is the one I got.
The camera's positioned too high to see this, but for our listeners, Shawn's
here we go.
Biceps are literally as big as my thighs, which are pretty large as well. And you wouldn't want to compete with him in any physical sport. So Shawn, you're aggressively competitive. You're super sharp. You're super motivated. But insurance is often described as a really commoditized product, right? Especially life insurance. It's a price per unit of coverage for, pretty equivalent products that you can buy from any agent. It's often said that it's differentiated by distribution. Somehow, in a very fragmented market, FFL has just amassed like incredible scale and market share potentially at the expense of competitors and potentially in growing the market. When you think about like the biggest core advantages and the biggest reasons and differentiators that you guys have grown so much more than everyone else, what would you attribute it to?
Peter, I think our pay system is our compensation. We've always been very aggressive. I was an agent full-time for 5+ years. I actually think if you're going to be in charge of distribution, you have a requirement to have gone out there. If you build the products, I don't think you need to. And I think you run the insurance company. But if you're going to go ahead and say, I'm going to handle this insurance marketing organization, I'm going to talk to people. That's like giving parenting advice when you're not a parent. You've never done it. So you need to just, respectfully keep your mouth shut. So I've been there. We pay very well. We have a phenomenal bonus system set up to share in the money that comes in. We almost have to keep growing, which I love that pressure on us. That excites me. I think that we allow you to do what you want to do, however little or as much as you want to do. I've learned over the years that, my goals are not everybody else's. Plus, we recognize the heck out of people. One of the things I think we do a good job of is, I heard a guy say to me a long time ago, he'd been a very successful businessman, still is. And he said, that company over there failed because of credit. And I was like, immediately it came to my mind, what I know, my ignorance, it was a long time ago. And I thought he meant like the ability to borrow money. And he said, no, the men in charge wanted all the credit. And when you steal all the credit, there's nobody getting, people eventually just feel like they don't get credit for anything. I don't get credit for anything. We have great people. We have a great company because we have great people. It's like, you're good at coaching. Yeah, I'm like Mike Krzyzewski with the Olympic team. I got to call timeout every once in a while because, Kobe's tired. And then I got to ask, you know what I mean? I got to ask Shaq what he wants to do. What do we do next? It's not that deep. And I think that we stay true to that. I do think we have fun with it. I think we're direct about the business. I think that we don't try to pretend that it's simple. People say it's simple but not easy. I don't like things that don't make sense. I don't even know what that means. I get what it means, but it's flippant. It's a little bit sarcastic and condescending. It's a grind. Some life insurance is a grind. I think we found a way to realize that. I think the health side is very democratized. You can punch in zip code and here's your product. I think the life side still has some of those core relationship building deals. And I like that. We teach a lot about the psychology of people, the psychology of why they buy, why they don't buy. We get the people in front of you that are doing well. I think one of the great things we did is we didn't buy into seniority. I think this is a very stale and old industry. And, I've been to meetings. I went to one not too long ago, and I heard people that, are like, been in the business 60 years. I would rather eat a bag of thumbtacks laced with cyanide than listen to somebody who's not sold a policy in 60 years talk about how to sell policies. Dude, he was like going door to door, like seriously collecting the premiums. And he's going to talk to us when we're in the world of phone sales, Zoom, everything electronic, and people listen to him. because what? He's been around a while. So we never bought into that. And I think that ends up, I think it's a law of the lid, because you get to a certain point where those people will never let you surpass them. The people that compete with us or allegedly compete with us, they love that stuff. Like the craziest thing about going to meetings for me is when people say to me, I really appreciate you coming to the meetings. I can't appreciate your time a lot. And I'm like, I work here. Like, what do you think I do? But they're like, oh, I never got to talk to the person that ran my company. I'm like, what did he do? They do like 20 million a year. They do like no volume. He should be like thanking you on a daily basis for what you do, So we stay humble and we stay hungry, and I think that the training's unfreaking believable. We've set leads up in a way where you can get them where you want. We just do our best to do our due diligence. We don't have like one lead source you have to go through. I think that's been really good. I've changed a lot as a leader. 3 years ago, I'm like, we're going to sell everything face to face. We don't sell anything over the phone, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I've really learned, Peter, to get better. I have people that speak into my life. And a dude said to me, your biggest strength is your biggest weakness. And I was like, well, everybody says that about everybody. What's mine? And he said, when you were younger, you created your own rules. Thus, you don't really have respect for authority. And fortunately and unfortunately, it worked to some level. And now you're trying to backtrack and listen to people when they're like, I have some ideas. You're like, no, I got it. So I've really changed to realize how amazing people are in the industry and how much they know that I don't know. My job is just to be there to support them, have their back. When they have tough times, be there to do the best I can for them. That's the other thing is life. When you're an independent contractor or an entrepreneur, it's how do you deal with tough times? And I think a lot of that is helping people manage that, and just trying to keep your heart tuned into what people need. I called the guy yesterday that I just called out of the blue. Like, I'm like, I need to call him. I just know. And he's like, he's like, I don't even know why you called me. I'm like, I work here. He's like, but yeah, why me? I was like, I saw you weren't at the meeting. I was just checking on you. And he's like in a really bad place, and he just needs somebody to talk to. And I think, we're transparent about our weaknesses too. I think, I always laugh when people they say stuff. I'm like, dude, come to any one of my meetings. I say that about myself. Like, what are you getting at? Like, I mean, like, and I've had more people, like I've been sober 22 years. I have more people, Peter, that work with us because guy the other day, he sold $600,000 last year. And I was like, why'd you join us? He's like, I went to the meeting and I was 6 months sober. I had some family problems. I had a hard time. And you talked about being sober for however many years it was that time. And I'm like, I'm in this company. Like that dude shared that from stage. I'm in. I'm like, that's what did it. He's like, yeah, I just felt comfortable with you. Like and now he's 2 years in and sober. You know what I mean? And just sharing the things that, that we've all been through. And I think we have that, that kindred spirit. And I think that we have a great team environment. And I think that we know we're not perfect. And we're excited. That's the other thing, Peter. Come to our meetings. You can ask your guys and ladies when they come to the meetings, the reps, it ain't boring. It ain't a bunch of people sitting around entitled, and we've made that our culture. I'm not gonna wake up every day and deal with people that don't even want to be on this earth when God gave them another day. You won't find them at our meetings. Negativity is something that you go fix it and come back and let me know when it's fixed. If I can help, I will, but I'm not going to live in it with you. And I think this business continues to be a significant grind, and you learn that. You've learned it. I think we also teach very hard, Peter, on the reality of the business. You're going to work your butt off in the life side, and 30% of what you write is not going to be here in a year and a half. And the insurance carriers aren't going to fire you for that. Now, if 40% of it isn't, they're going to probably fire you. If more than 40% of it isn't, you can guarantee they're going to fire you. But if you're just statistically like everybody else, you might be 80% stays in the books, good for you. And teaching people the consistency. I was never taught that when I started. I worked hard because I wanted to work hard. But the people around me, I finally learned it. And then I was like, okay, this money's not really mine. I manage my money appropriately. I think we do a really good job of that too. Really good job. So I think those are some things that have definitely set us apart and put us in a position to continue to really do well.
Having gotten to know several leaders at FFL well, you do an incredible job of elevating and mentoring the next levels of leadership. And they probably make you better in a lot of different ways in the same way that you make them better. So
100% they do.
And you do bring the energy. My gosh, no one brings the energy like you. Can you share, Shawn, how did COVID change your business? You guys have, most businesses run into laws of large numbers where at a certain scale, they stop growing at a breakout rate. And I think since COVID, you guys have just been going berserk. How did COVID totally change the workflow of your teams and, accelerate your business?
I'll tell you, Peter, I can remember like it was yesterday. I remember the conversations. I did a lot of the starts, and you don't know what's going and what's not going on, and I'm crazy overly optimistic. You know what I mean? So I could break my leg and I ain't going to the hospital, so I'm kind of messed up like that. And I'm just like, we're plowing ahead. And I remember the day where I was like, okay, like no matter how it's all going to play out, this is changing our industry forever. Okay. How do we react? And I remember I talked a lot with people that I really trust. And we said, listen, first of all, we have a crazy opportunity because everybody in the world is going to be facing their mortality, because you couldn't turn on any news station without seeing a death clicker, which is kind of really morbid when you look back now. So we knew that. Number two, we knew that we were still going to be able to go out and meet with people. We're going to be creative. We started doing and know what happens when it gets bad? You work harder. A lot of folks pull away. Personal business, they're running an agency, it's just themselves. When it gets bad, I want to run in. And we all did. We have some amazing people. And we just started speaking the same language. We're going to be socially responsible. We doubled, we actually went from October of 19 to October of 22. We literally grew like almost 700%. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And y'all know when COVID hit in that window, and again. So I think we really seized the opportunity to protect people. And I think we had to watch the insurance carriers, right? What were they going to do? We didn't know either. Are they going to say, we're not going to issue it? Are they going to say, do you have COVID or not? Are they going to require COVID test? We didn't know, right? Ours is a simplified issue business. And I think a lot of folks rallied together to make sure, but it will probably be the greatest influx of uninsured people in life insurance getting life insurance. So I think what we figured out was, we were either going to be a victim in this whole thing, or we're going to take advantage of it. And like I was just saying, this will be I'm just telling you, we look back on this, I don't know there'll ever be a larger growth in the life insurance business year over year. Because in life insurance sales, what every agent will tell you is the only time that they're going to say no to me is when they somehow are able to block out that they're going to die. It was Tuesday, 5:00 at night, and they decided they're not going to die. At least another day, they let me walk out the door with no coverage. How did they do that, right? And I think for us, we wanted to be on the end of protecting. And we also, talk about our competition, we wanted them to keep selling life insurance. We want more. I want as many people to get life insurance as I can. I don't care who gave it to them. I'm competitive, but I want you to have life insurance. So, we exploded. And I think it also forced us into I really put us at a disadvantage, because prior to that, people were coming to me going, we're going to sell over the phone. And I'm like, no, it's bad. I was just so get in the home, that we really had to find people that were good on the phone, get training, revamp our training. I had to say, hey, listen, man, I'm sorry. That's another thing when you're a lead. I'm sorry. My idea wasn't a great idea. It was my idea. Sorry about that, and kind of get people to understand that that's okay. And we didn't run away. Life is fight or flight. And that's, I think, one of the biggest premises we run the company on. But if the fight's breaking out, somebody asked me a long time ago, what do you look for in your staff? And I was at a big conference, different industry. And I said, this answer you may not like it, but I'm going to be honest with you. When I'm interviewing somebody, I want to ask myself, if in my parking lot, my very first office was a big parking lot, not the greatest area. If this man and or woman was coming in for an interview and they saw somebody in the parking lot being harmed, would they do something to intervene? Would they call 911? Would they yell, blow a whistle, go physically intervene? Would they be able to look at it and go, that sucks for that lady or that child, and walk away? If they can turn their back on it and walk away, we don't want them. And, I think that was a big part of our job, is to stick up for people regardless of. Now, did we have people that were medically compromised that I didn't want to go in the field? Absolutely. 100%. Even if they were as safe as can be, I didn't want that to be on any of us. I won't put anybody in a bad spot, but we had people grabbing lawn chairs, sitting outside, I mean, and I kind of made a joke. I'm like, dude, I don't know, how close do you get to your clients, dude? Like, I tended not to be like within I mean, like, I was good, Peter. Like, you can be at the end of the table. I'm here. Like, we're good. But I think I'm really proud of what we did at that time. And the leadership team, the people you've met, we have a lot more. That's what made it easy. Because we got a call and it was like, guys, this is about serving and helping. We can't back down. The world's going to shut down. We can't back down. And also what ended up happening was, which I think we were one of the first ones to seize it, a lot of these states deemed life insurance sales to be essential. And they put it out there. They'd be like, here are essential services that need to be
More
open.
important than ever.
Oh my God. And I think that, and listen, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody that's making any of these laws, they all want you to be insured. That's why there's countries in the world that, like, when you get a mortgage, you're required to get life insurance to cover it. They don't want all these foreclosed homes, or so I think that we really, it was a good test to the soul and the heart we have protecting people. Because when you don't care about other people, it's easy to run and hide if you only care about yourself. And again, we were socially responsible about it, smart about it, but we weren't going anywhere. I never knew we'd grow the way we grew, but we were excited to be in the fight.
It's awesome to hear that you changed your mind so quickly in adapting to the new situation. I feel like a lot of people, before they get to leadership, they don't realize that changing your mind when you're presented with new data is a great sign of strength rather than a sign of weakness. So
I learned that way too late, but I learned it nonetheless.
So in 2019, FFL joined the Integrity platform and really is the flagship of their life platform. How has this changed, things for you in FFL? And has it been great? Has it been what you expected?
It's funny, real quick story. I wasn't looking to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, you'd understand this much better than me. This was probably early 19. I'm at my house. Andrew Taylor's over. He's down. We did some meetings. He's visiting for a couple nights. About 8 o'clock, the phone just starts blowing up. Text, calls, emails. Well, the CRM we had to deliver leads shut down. It was just like, it just shut down. But what it did, which was worse on its a bit, when it shut down where you couldn't access your leads, our merchant service, what it connected with, billed people double, and it shut down. Okay, so you can imagine, like, not only can you not have your leads, Peter, we double billed you for leads you can't have, okay? And we're rolling, we're cruising, and I never really thought a lot about infrastructure. I mean, some people had talked to me about it in passing, you're eventually going to outgrow it. We made a decision to not only give you, obviously, every dollar back you got paid. We double paid you back, which is a lot of money. It's like, okay, Peter, you got hit for $3,000. We're going to give you 6. You're like, 6? I'm like, yeah, inconvenience. Sorry, my fault. We worked tirelessly. And I'll never forget trying to call the guy that had built our CRM. And he sent me a message back that said, I won't be able to call you for a couple of days. My cat's sick. And I'll never forget, my buddy said, that's what you get when you spend $50,000 to launch a CRM. So I knew we had an infrastructure problem, and it made me nervous, quite frankly. So I started looking for companies to partner with, from a private equity standpoint. Didn't know anything about it. First time I heard EBITDA was when I sat down with a bunch of PE guys who said, what's your EBITDA? To which I said, what does that mean? And when they said earnings, foreign income tax, depreciation, amortization, I said, why don't you just ask me what my net income is? Like, would that be too easy? Like, would you not be able to get your degree in private equity? And they laughed, right? We started laughing. And I'm like, guys, if I don't know something, I'm going to ask you. I don't. And I learned a lot about the process over about 6 months, but I never found a fit, ever. And I had a guy named Bob, who's a consultant at Integrity. And he had been an employee of an insurance carrier that I had worked with, 9 years prior. No, probably 12. And great guy. That's why I'm not a big believer in burning bridges either. A lot of people want to blow their bridges up on the way out. I'm like, dude, you never know when you turn that car back around. And he's the only guy at the toll, And he said, I'd love for you to meet with some of the folks at Integrity. I'd love you to get on the phone with Brian Adams. And I was like, sure. And he's like, Brian Adams?
Bob Grannon?
Bob Grannon, yep. Now, understanding Peter, I live like this. Like I can go buy the same house 7,200 times on the way to my house. I can't tell you if it's for sale or not. I just don't pay attention. I live just like this. So to me, I knew nobody in the industry, literally. Like, I mean, literally. I didn't know who anybody was. Integrity, Brian Adams was, the singer when I grew up. Like, you're too young, but like Brian Adams, like that was how I knew him. And so I got on the phone with Brian, and for about a half hour, he's asked me a lot of questions about me, and I answered them. And then he said, would you come to Dallas for dinner? I said, sure. So I went to Dallas, had dinner. And I said, hey, before we get started, I'm going to let you know, I've done this a bunch of times with people. I have no desire to partner. I'm just going to have to figure out some of my infrastructure problems on my own. We were getting by right now, Peter. We had made some changes. I knew we were going to have to make more. We had dinner, and there were two things that struck me about the dinner, and I did a deal the next day, but were that I had no problem with partnering with them as long as they let us run the company. As long as we were profitable, making money, doing our deal, like, leave us be kind of deal. And then number two, I wanted the people that worked with us to have the opportunity to do the same thing. I wanted them to be able to say, like, hey, I'm going to take my chips off the table. Give me money, stock, however it works, how you pay me, whatever I can get afterwards down the road for my performance. Like, do that for me. I said, I want you to be able to do that. And they did. And they've done it for dozens of people since then that work with us. Because I never wanted to do it and be like, hey, wasn't that cool, guys? Like, that was cool. Like, I'm retiring. I'm out. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome. But I'm going to, move down to St. Martin, and you guys keep killing it. Thanks for everything. And I'm out. I just didn't feel like that. And I also wasn't looking to stop working either. I don't know, man. I'm 50, but I feel like I'm just getting started in this industry. So it's been everything I thought it would be. I've learned a lot. I mean, there's some things I didn't know. You start getting involved with the entities we're involved with in the direction and the goals of a company like Integrity, get to learn a lot about business, which I've embraced. And I think people are like, isn't it hard? You're an entrepreneur and independent. Now you're an employee. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But when I'm the employee of the right people, I'm fine. I'm kind of learned, right? Like, you say, I don't respect authority. I'm like, no, I think I do. But like, they have to earn that. Like, you walk up to me at the crosswalk and like start mouthing off at me for no reason. I'm like, dude, I was just parking my car. Like, you don't got to yell at me. Like, but if I knew you really well and I really respected you and you were like, hey man, back up. I'm like, I'll back up. Like, I'll go back 5-10 feet. Like, I'm cool. I respect you. So it's been one heck of a run. It's only getting better. And it's really, really cool to watch. I've had two guys tell me, Andrew Taylor being one of them, that because of my financial, he did all the work. Andrew's a machine. Because of my financial situation, I decided it was okay for me to have children, right? Like, get married, have kids. And I'm not saying he wasn't going to have kids. He could have been doing what he was doing when he started the insurance industry, working at a grocery store, and he could have still had a family. But if there's any part of him that was like, man, maybe I wouldn't have, then that means what we did and how hard we worked really in some way, shape, and form allowed Atlas and AC to be here. That's almost too much to take on. Like, to really, it's so humbling that it's like uncomfortable. Like, I didn't do nothing. He did the work, but like, we launched a company, we got in this together. Had we not done that, maybe like that messed me up. And so I think when I've watched what they've done for their families and the way they live and all that, it makes me happy. Is it perfect? Nothing's perfect. And I tend, though, Peter, to take situations and find the good. I just think that makes a lot more sense. And a lot of folks don't, unfortunately. They find something, they want to give you the 3 things that are bad out of 10. I'm like, I remember I was a social worker and I would take a piece of paper, draw a big circle, and take a pen or a pencil and just hit the center of it. There's a dot. And I'd be like, here's the problem. All you are focused on this dot. It's all you're focused on. There's all kinds of good stuff in this house. Between you guys as a couple, between the kids, between you, as your parents, but everybody wants to focus on this one pinpoint. You'll ensure it fails. And I think that, we got that big circle and we got 3 or 4 things people don't like. And it's like they perseverate there. I spend no time thinking about things I can't control. Can't control them. And can't control what people say or don't say. I gave that up a long time ago. I get all kinds of mad and, get pissed off and be like, he wouldn't say it if he was face to face with me. But I'm like, dude, I got to grow up. Like, whatever. I've just really learned to, if I can't control it, I'm not going to give it any energy. And I mean none.
Man, I would give a lot for that superpower of not dwelling on things you can't control.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
I'm a simple guy, Peter. Peter, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I want to know if this is a true story. So Marty at Ethos, who went to, I believe, business school with you, he said, I don't know if it was Marty's last name. It was two Martys, right? Marty, the sales guy, my guy, and another guy, Marty.
Marty Evans and Marty Schaefer.
Marty Evans. Marty Evans said one of the first times he met you, you were sitting down playing chess with yourself, by yourself, against yourself. Is that true?
It's a reflection of my personality, Shawn. I'm a boring person when I'm not selling life insurance.
That's not boring, dude. That's deep. I think that's a lot of depth. I was like, he's one of the few people I know that I could actually see that happening. So I had to ask that, man.
Chess is a great game. It teaches you a lot about life. Importantly, it teaches you that the power of any one piece on the board is a function of its relation to all the other pieces.
I like that. Yeah. That's deep.
So, Shawn, I've observed you, and you are just an incredible leader. Your energy and enthusiasm is contagious. People want to be their best selves when they're around you. You've elevated these other incredible leaders at FFL like Andrew and Zach, who are just remarkable people. You guys are recruiting thousands of agents every year. You're managing tens of thousands of agents every year. You're putting food on these people's tables. You guys are protecting God knows how many families every year with your products. And the energy has not slowed even as the organization has expanded dramatically. Oftentimes, the larger a company gets, the more culture dissipates, but the culture within FFL is as strong as it's ever been. What are the secrets to your leadership? You even wrote a book about leadership. Can you tell us, give us a kind of assessment of your overall leadership style and how you think about it?
Yeah, it's funny because I had a buddy of mine that, he's in the book business, but he does a lot of things. That's one of them. And I said, I think I'll just self-publishing a book. And then he hooked me up with the guy, and that's what the guy does. And he said, what do you think the name, I gave him basically an outline of what I was thinking. And he said, what are you going to call it? And I said, Humble and Hungry. And he said, that's a really stupid name. And I was like, what's a better one? He said, Punch Me in the Face. I said, why? He said, number one, would you buy a book titled Punch Me in the Face or Humble and Hungry? Number one. Number two, everything you're talking about, Shawn, like everything is about facing life head on, getting knocked down. And we had an argument because I had a chapter in there that talked about anybody could do it. He said, well, anybody can't do what you're doing. I said, that's a lie. He's like, no, it's true. I said, no, it's not. It's not true. Energy, you could fake it until you loved it if you chose to, right? Leadership styles. For me, I want to treat everybody legitimately the way I want to be treated. I'm very much open. I'm imperfect. I know that. So if you want to tell me I'm imperfect, I'm already telling you I'm a complete disaster, and I got that. Do the best I can on a daily basis. Do better than I did yesterday. That's all I can do, right? Stay focused on the needs of people over the needs of the company. You know what I mean? Like, I could find a way to do things that are better for the company as opposed to flying somewhere to a meeting with 31 people. There are things I could do that would probably be a good argument to the needs of the company could be better off. Now, I can argue that what these 30 people can do and who they hire and all that, but stay very focused on those people and build a culture where it's very transparent, where we can have a discussion, right? And challenge people to get uncomfortable, but in a building up kind of way. Never break anything or anybody down. You don't have, not only that you won't build up, you have to have the ability to build them up. So I see people break people down and they want to build them up. They just suck at building them up. So I'm like, you left them a mess. They're not built up. You destroyed them, literally. Like, why did you do that? Well, I did this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, but it didn't work. Look at him or look at her. Like, why are you doing that? So I think we stay true to those principles. Again, it's got to be great for the client, got to be great for the agent. It can't harm the company. And that's all we stay true to. You have to make difficult decisions. You have to draw a line in the sand, if you will, and go, this is who we are and this is who we're not. Like, you take us or leave us, but this is where we're at. I am overly aggressive. And I'm probably not going to change that. I try to get more information before I react. I like your chess analogy because it rings true. But I think that we've stayed real. And I do believe that we've had people that are egotistical that don't like that because they want to be told it's because of them. And anytime I see that, I'm like, I pull them. I'm like, dude, you understand the more you tell them you're great, the more you're telling them they can't do it. Like, nobody's saying you're not great. We love you. You're great. But the more you elevate yourself to this extra superhuman, whatever level, you're literally just subconsciously telling them they can't do it because they're not you. So not only are you not growing your own business, you're hurting your peers, and it's very egotistical. So people eventually aren't going to want to be in business with you anyway at all because of the way you make them feel. You don't make anybody feel good by telling everybody how great you are. You listen, ask good questions. We teach them how to communicate in that way. We teach them how to carry themselves and, challenge them. And I think that, what you realize is, and I was on a guy's podcast recently, and he said, I love this message. He's like, because most folks on my podcast are in their 20s, and I think the way you're talking, the way you were coached and all of that, I think we long for that more than you think we do. Like, I know you're not our age, but we long for that. So we're really appreciative that you bring that to us. And again, I think as long as I always tell people, you may not like the way it was delivered. You may not like a meeting, but do you believe I want you to do better than you're doing now? Do you believe that my heart is in it for you to do better? Yeah, I may have made a mistake, but do you think I want you to be better? 100%. The minute that answer is not 100%, then I can't do what I do. I can't. I won't be any good at it. I was at lunch one day a while back, and guy I work with kind of called me over to his table, waved over, and I went over. Had his whole family there, man, packed. And I don't remember how she was related to him, but she was like, hey, how do you like working for so-and-so? And talking about her, this guy. And I was like, I love working for him. She's like, he does such a good job running the company. I was like, oh, he's unbelievable. And she went on and on and on and on. So, and I was like, hey, great to meet you. I went back. So he came back over and he's like, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. I'm like, sorry about what? He's like, I didn't tell her I ran the entire company. I just told him I run my agency, and she assumed you worked under me because I told her how big I agency is. I said, dude, I do. You have zero to apologize for, dude. And he was just like, what do you mean? I'm like, you run your own company. We work together. I'm honored to work with you. I think it's hard not to duplicate that, and we don't encourage anybody to put themselves above everybody else. I think that works in individual sports. In tennis, it's you. I get that. Like, that's just you. In golf, it's you. It's you. But, football, lacrosse, baseball, basketball, dude, once you compete at a high level, and we compete at a high level now, you need the entire team. You can win when when everybody sucks and everybody's young with two kids or two guys. You play an inferior team, you get a couple good players, you're going to beat them. But this concept anymore about having the best three or best two, that don't seem to work out very well for people. So I think those are a few things, Peter, that I stay true to and I will not deviate on.
It's easy as organizations get large for leaders to retreat to an ivory tower and operate through executives. And you do an amazing job of staying connected to your agent force. It's unbelievable how connected you are. So
I appreciate that.
Shawn, we're at time. Thank you so much for taking the time and speaking with us. And hopefully our listeners got a lot out of this. I certainly did. It's just been an absolute pleasure to hear from you and learn more about FFL. And we're so grateful for our partnership together. So
I'm grateful, Peter. I appreciate you letting me get on. I have a lot of respect for you and what you're doing, and I'm like your biggest fan while we work together. And I think the sky's the limit for what y'all are doing. I remember when I first got the phone call about Ethos, and I was like, about time I talked to somebody over there, because everywhere I turn, I see them. So they have some idea of what they're doing, and it's been great to work with you guys. I echo that with you. There's nobody else that's as accessible in the role you have to me as you've been. And that means a lot to me, and our partnership means a lot to me, and me making you guys proud means a lot to me. So I appreciate you having me on today.
It's likewise. Thanks, Shawn. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of What's Your Ethos? If you're interested in helping to protect the next million families, come join us. You can learn more about Ethos at ethoslife.com. I'll see you next time.